Well, earlier today, the Supreme Court sided with the Trump administration by limiting the use of nationwide injunctions. Now, this ruling limits the power of federal judges to issue sweeping orders that have prevented certain policies by both Republican and Democratic administrations. Now, President Donald Trump praised the Supreme Court's ruling, saying by limiting the power of federal judges, the Supreme Court clears the way for his administration to forge ahead with its agenda and implement policies on everything from birthright citizenship to transgender issues. Take a listen.
Thanks to this decision, we can now properly file to proceed with these numerous policies and those that have been wrongly enjoined on a nationwide basis, including birthright citizenship, ending sanctuary city funding, suspending refugee resettlement, freezing unnecessary funding, stopping federal taxpayers from paying for transgender surgeries, and numerous other priorities of the American people.
CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand has more on today's rulings and the reaction across the country.
President Trump called this ruling a giant win and held a celebratory news conference with his attorney general. In this ruling, the high court expanded presidential power, but did not rule on the merits of the president's executive order on birthright citizenship. Now, dissenting justices called today's decision an attack on the system of law.
In a 6-3 decision, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled Friday to limit the power of judges to issue nationwide injunctions to block a president's executive order. The opinion, written by Justice Amy Coney Barrett, split along the court's ideological lines and says in part, these injunctions, known as universal injunctions, likely exceed the equitable authority that Congress has given to federal courts.
She's also saying very clearly that when people walk into federal court now and they ask for relief of an executive order, they cannot get these universal injunctions anymore. Instead, courts are limited in the scope, the remedy that they can provide.
The justices did not rule on birthright citizenship protected by the Constitution's 14th Amendment. But President Trump, hailing the decision as a monumental victory, said the administration plans to move forward with his executive order.
This lets us go there and finally win that case because hundreds of thousands of people are pouring into our country under birthright citizenship, and it wasn't meant for that reason. It was meant for the babies of slaves.
Federal judges in Washington, Maryland, and Massachusetts blocked that policy nationwide, saying it violates the Constitution. Their injunctions escalated all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court, calling into question the power of a single lower court judge to block a presidential policy.
Writing for the minority, Justice Sonia Sotomayor in her dissent said no right is safe in the new legal regime the court creates.
In the dissents, what you saw was an argument that, okay, yes, there is a proper process, but there are certain cases where it would be appropriate for a single court to issue a nationwide injunction.
The fight over nationwide injunctions goes back years, with presidents from both parties criticizing them. But the legality of President Trump's birthright citizenship order remains unresolved, with legal experts expecting another wave of lawsuits.
Legal experts say more litigation expected at the state level or in the form of class action lawsuits. And Attorney General Pam Bondi in this news conference says she expects the Supreme Court to take up the issue next term. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Now joining me now is Stephen Spaulding, the senior counsel at the Brennan Center for Justice. Stephen, thank you for being with us. I want to start out by just getting your reaction to this ruling.
Well, let's be really clear about one thing. There is absolutely nothing in today's decision about the fact that President Trump's executive order seeking to limit birthright citizenship is constitutional. Nothing about it is constitutional, this order, and this will continue to be litigated all the way up to the Supreme Court again.
So this decision is really about the power of these local judges, these federal judges. They're making rulings on what the Trump administration is trying to accomplish in his agenda, correct? Let's just clarify that.
Yes, that's correct. The court did not get to the merits again about the unconstitutional nature of the president's executive order on birthright citizenship. What it did do was, frankly, to go out of its way to make it more difficult for courts to rein in an out-of-control executive in some ways. It narrowed the tools available to block illegal conduct by the government. a tool that has been used, which is considered, it's called an injunction. That's a way for a court to stop illegal behavior. And what the court did today was really limit it solely to the parties of a case, people that have brought a lawsuit. But of course, what the president's executive order did was affect many, many more people. The good news here from the perspective of those that do need to hold this administration accountable is that there are other tools available that the court left undisturbed. One of them is the class action procedure that would allow a litigant to represent similarly situated people in court as this proceeds. So the order is still unconstitutional. It is not going to be in place for at least another 30 days at a minimum. That's one piece. But the other piece here is, again, there are other tools that litigants are going to be able to use to block the order from being enforced.
Now, as you mentioned, this is an order that is going to impact a lot of different cases. The one mentioned in this particular case with birthright citizenship, you say that's going to be litigated again all of next year. What do you think is going to happen with that? The constitutionality of birthright citizenship, is that going to change?
Well, this notion, this is in the 14th Amendment of the Constitution.
Yes.
This is something that has never been questioned. It is the law of the land that people born here in the United States are citizens. So what the president is attempting to do by this executive order is, in our view, unconstitutional. That has not changed today, and this will continue to be the point that will be raised as this continues back to the Supreme Court and winds its way through the federal court system.
Stephen Spaulding, thanks so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.